everyone, welcome back to the Writer's Room. It's me, Rob Alvarenga, also known as Screenwriter Rob from the Movie Talk podcast with Joe Zapata and Dave Kalari, brought to you by Zapata Brand Media. So today, our topic of conversation in the Writer's Room is where to find your inspiration. So inspiration is one of those powerful, mysterious things where it could come from anywhere. So it doesn't matter whether you're doing screenwriting, which is our favorite here, but writing comics, novels, any form of media, inspiration can literally come from anywhere. So today I want to offer 3 examples of places where you could go and explore to find your inspiration for your story. Our first place to explore is history. I think sometimes we forget that history is just full of stories of human courage, tragedies, and transformation. I mean, these are powerful foundations for any fiction. And sometimes revisiting or reimagining historical moments can lead to just amazing ideas. I would like to offer 2 contemporary examples that are my favorite reimaginings. First example is 2019's Watchmen from HBO. That series is a spin-off from the 2009 movie Watchmen, directed by Zack Snyder, and which was based on a 1986 infamous graphic novel by Alan Moore. The story of The Watchmen is based on an alternative universe based on our own, using historical events that are very similar, if not the same, of the ones that we have in our reality. In the Watchmen universe, mass vigilantes are normal. Masked heroes is a thing. They use that commentary as a reflection on society and the society that they want to protect and a lot of times judge. The show used the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre to set the tone for its commentary on justice, which was always handled by mass vigilantes, and also racism. The show centers around an obscure character introduced in the original Watchmen graphic novel, Hooded Justice. It's played by Jovan Adepo when he's younger, and also when he's older by the great Louis Gossett Jr. This character is revealed to be a survivor of the Tulsa Race Massacre, and it really kickstarts the story with his quest for revenge. And in that quest, how it draws in so many of the more known characters of this universe, like Dr. Manhattan or Ozymandias, and our main character, Angela Abar, also known as Sister Night, played by the great Regina King. One of the amazing effects of that show was that it actually educated people on history that wasn't covered in history books. Up to that point, a lot of people weren't even aware of what the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre was. It hits different when you are able to actually educate people on something that really happened and infuse that in your story. There's just something very powerful about that, because people are going to want to know more. And so they're investing in the story that you created, and it opens up opportunities to explore other historical events that a lot of people probably just are not aware of. My second example is similar, but it's different because of a few things. One, the story comes from a different format altogether, but in the same vein, it has inspired a character to transcend from the comic books onto the movie screen. And that story is about Isaiah Bradley, first introduced in the graphic novel series Truth, Red, White, and Black. So that story drew huge inspirations from the Tuskegee Airmen experiment in World War II and the segregated military in the same era. You had a lot of black soldiers that were regulated to just labor or support roles, or they were put in harm's way in ways where the rest of the military wasn't. Those historical influences are infused in the story of Truth, which is about an all-black military unit. Each member had taken the super soldier serum and were sent into Nazi Germany on, a lot of times, suicide missions. The lone survivor of that unit is Isaiah Bradley. And in the culmination of that story, Isaiah Bradley goes on his one last suicide mission, and he dons the Captain America suit that was reserved for Steve Rogers when he was operational to enter the war. And then by doing so, he actually becomes the first Captain America to appear in World War II, before Steve Rogers. The story of Isaiah Bradley and his unit transcended that graphic novel into movies, because anyone that's an MCU fan now knows who Isaiah Bradley is. Now, they've definitely tweaked his origin story to fit the MCU narrative, but the point is still made. Using that historical references, using those powerful historical moments to create the story that surrounds Isaiah Bradley, that type of character that transcends one format into another, is powerful stuff. And again, the connection with there is that it comes from real life historical moments. Don't take my examples for it. We've had some major movies that have occurred in the last decade or so that are all history inspired stories. There's Oppenheimer, there's Hidden Figures, there's 12 Years a Slave. When you think about using history as your inspiration for your story, one of the questions you should be asking to get the creative juices flowing is, what historical event that you know or that you have learned that deserves a film or a series? So the next place to explore for inspiration, I'd recommend the public domain. What is the public domain? The public domain consists of works whose copyrights have expired, and anyone is free to adapt or reimagine. The reason why I think this is a really cool area to sharpen your skills is because you're going to be working within an established world already. So if you could tell your version of a story that has been told before, why not? Example works that have been used from the public domain to create crazy reimaginings and powerful stories. Some of these stories you know quite well. We're talking about Frankenstein, Dracula, Jekyll and Hyde. In the US, any works that have been published before 1929 is in the public domain and it's free game. And you have already seen recent examples of works that have just entered the public domain. They are being used to create new and wild stories. Examples like Winnie the Pooh, Steamboat Willie, Bambi. Those three examples are horror examples, but I just want to make the point that new works, as the years go by, new works enter the public domain. And again, it's free reign. You could jump into those worlds and create your own version of the story. Other examples of works from the public domain being used to write screenplays for movies are 2020's Invisible Man and 2016 Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. I'm sorry, I'm a horror guy, but any chance I get to add horror movies into our topics, sorry, it's going to happen. Our third place to explore for inspiration is personal experiences. In other words, writing from your heart. Some of the most powerful stories we have ever read or have watched on screen have come from personal truths. Love, loss, joy, trauma, failure, and triumph. Sometimes writing what you know isn't limiting, it's grounding. The more personal your story, the more universal it becomes. You got to remember, creativity is about connection. For scripts and movie examples on this topic, I give you first 2022's The Fabelmans, directed by Steven Spielberg, which is actually a semi-autobiographical movie based on his real-life experiences and is blended in with fictional storytelling. I would also throw out examples like 2016's Moonlight, written and directed by Barry Jenkins, and also 2017's Lady Bird, written and directed by Greta Gerwig. I get it. It could feel real uncomfortable to make yourself that vulnerable, to share something about yourself through your story. But you also have to understand that your joy, your pain, your experiences, that is story fuel. And if you can harness that, you actually could share something that, again, it's universally connected. I said it before and I'll say it again. Creativity is about connection. One doesn't happen without the other. So wherever you draw your inspiration from, whether it be the past, the classics, or your own personal experiences, just remember that the more personal you make your work, the more people will connect with you and see themselves in your work. And this brings us to the end of another Writer's Room episode. If you like this episode, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps more writers find this show. and anyone that's interested in the craft. And don't forget to check me out on the Movie Talk podcast with Joe Zapata and Dave Kalari on Wednesday nights at 9:30. Give us a like and subscribe over there as well. Until next time, guys, keep on writing. I'll talk to you soon.